It's Miss Sarah's Dynamic Gospel Power Show. Tune in on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Join us live every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. for our all-new Restaurant and Foodie Show. The Restaurant and Foodie Show will discuss local, small-sized restaurants and food establishments here in the Tampa Bay area. Learn about those hidden gems that many people are unaware of. Local business owners talk about their restaurant, food items, specials, and more. Listeners can call into the show and discuss their favorite local food establishment, win prizes, and discuss their favorite food items. Join us live every Saturday between 1 and 2 p.m. beginning June 8th here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
It's now time for Connecting Caregivers with author, speaker, caregiver advocate, and talk show host Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Caregivers around the world today. It's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned. On the show where you can find help and hope. And we is my best friend, co-host, and sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Good afternoon.
How are you today? She's back from gallivanting, Ed.
2 weeks in a row.
Well, she's here, though.
I'm going away again in August. No, it's good, except yesterday was summer solstice.
Yeah.
That means the days are getting shorter now.
You just started to get to enjoy them being longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 38 seconds shorter than yesterday.
I know, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll go to bed early.
Well, I tell you, I feel better because, like, 2 nights I went out this weekend, I can't drive in the dark anymore until my cataracts get ripe. So both times, though, I got home like 8:30. It was still light. It was nice.
That's nice. Do you know, I was up in Buffalo, and it gets light at 5:30 and not dark until after 9. They get much longer summers, but shorter winters days.
I don't know.
But anyway, happy solstice day.
I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, me too.
So I want to give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have Tiffany in St. Pete, we have Carla in Tampa, and we have Cynthia in Largo.
Welcome, ladies.
Like I always say, there's always plenty of room around the Connecting Caregivers table for more listeners. If you listen while we're live on AM/FM or on Facebook or YouTube or my website or wherever, we're just glad that you're here. We know you don't have the easiest journey, and we just want to let you know that we're here to help in any way we can. And I'm really excited to say, Sages Theater. We talk about Sages Theater quite a bit. And Sages Theater is educational plays for seniors.
Didn't you just go to one?
Yeah, I just went to one a couple of weeks ago. It was called Memory Lane. It was about Alzheimer's, but they do ones about fall prevention and a whole bunch of other things. And Sages stands for Seniors Actors Guild and Educational Services. And on Tuesday, June 25th at 10 a.m., they're going to be on the Kelly Clarkson Show. How cool is that? Like, way to go, Christine Hamaker.
So it will be her and Linda?
Yeah. They went to New York City. So cool. So you can tune in this Tuesday, the 25th. Locally, it's on NBC, and then it's on a whole bunch of other channels, Spectrum and Frontier and Comcast. But you can go to the Sages website. It'll tell you where else you can hear it. But way to go.
Isn't that big?
Yeah. I mean, they want to bring education to seniors, and they've done such a fabulous job in the Tampa Bay area. I remember they started out, it was like in a little church, and then it's at Ruth Eckerd Hall, and now they're going national, trying to go national.
Unbelievable.
And I'm very excited because Christine and I worked together like 15 years ago or whatever it was. And we, in the beginning, her and I used to do matter of balance classes. So you never know how things come around and how they go. But
wow, I'm
so excited for her. Yeah. I'm really excited for her. And then they get to go to a nice little trip to New York. So that's nice. So we have Terri Chaplin with us today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I'm glad that you're here. We recently hooked up on LinkedIn or Facebook or one of those things. And that's another gift of the internet, that you get to meet new people and see new things. And I'm so happy just to be in the area where we're in, where professionals really want to work together.
it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. I've been here for 5 years now, and I was never exposed to networking among professionals like I am here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, there's no reason you can't find your people here.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Did you do this when you were there?
I did not, but I had my real estate license for a few years, and there was a little bit of networking, but
here it's huge.
Nothing like.
But here they want to help you in real estate. They want to sell their own houses.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, with here, there's so many people in Florida that are from other states.
True.
And everybody's very welcoming, when you first go. I remember I used to go to my I joined a networking group like 5 days after I moved here. Mm-hmm. And I went there and I used to say, "Hi, my name is Linda. I just moved here from New York," and blah, 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 blah. And they said, after like the second week, they said, "You don't have to tell us you're from New York anymore." Thanks. But and for 5 years, I ran a professional women's networking organization. We had 11 chapters that met weekly. It was craziness.
Oh, that's a lot.
But it was absolutely fabulous. And then my mom became ill, and then we went to a new chapter. So tell our listeners a little bit about your story and how you got to be doing what you're doing and what you're doing.
Okay. Well, I am a certified master grief coach, and my husband and I moved from Southern Maryland to the Tampa Bay area about 5 years ago. Really just on a whim. I came here with him on a business trip and fell in love with the area, and I wanted it was the sunshine. I came here.
It's the sun.
Yeah. And I told him, I said, why can't we live here where the sun shines? And he said, we can. And literally 3 months later, we pulled up with our U-Haul and our dogs and all of our belongings and have been here ever since.
Wow.
It's been an amazing experience. But I lost my first husband in 2005 to renal failure. And then, thank you. My son and an only child, Tyler, was killed in a car accident in August of 2012. My life just kind of changed completely after that. I am remarried happily. My husband and I have been married for 14 years now. So he was there in my son's life and was a great role model and stepfather to him. And but after Tyler died, my son,
it's not the same.
It wasn't the same. My career that I'd been in forever, I was there for 29 and a half years. I did outside sales for an energy company. And it just started really losing that thing that used to excite me. And my life started feeling like I had no purpose, and there needed to be something greater. I needed there to be something greater.
I don't want to be pushing papers.
No. And I felt like I wasn't doing my son justice in my life, and just something awoke in me. And I said, I need to be living for two people now. I need to live because he can no longer live. I need to do something to honor him. And the first step was quitting my job. My husband was very supportive, and I quit my job. It was 29 and a half years when I quit. Came down here with him for a business trip, and then we moved here. And after getting here, I said, I really want to really start supporting people who are grieving a loss. I was doing it naturally, had been doing it since my son's accident in 2012. And this was 2019 when we moved here. And I said, I just want to do it in a bigger way. I want to start advocating for grief. I want to start talking about grief.
It's so important.
Yeah, and it's always shoved under the rug. Yeah, nobody wants to talk about it. No. And it's so important. There's so much healing in sharing our stories and the connections that can be made and sharing our stories and just letting other people know that they're seen and they're heard and they're not alone.
Your entire life changes when your child, especially a child.
Sure.
When your child or your spouse or your mom dies, your life changes.
Sure.
And I think at that point you start to think about different, and some people just get swallowed by it.
Definitely.
And some just shove it down so much that they can't even function properly after that.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because a lot of people I think it's because it's so taboo. It's something everyone gets uncomfortable about.
But it's part of life.
It's a part of everyone's life.
I mean, it's going to happen.
So I decided I want to start talking about it. I want to normalize it. I want it to be a conversation that's okay to have. And I really wanted others to understand how to best support someone who's grieving a loss.
Right.
Because
that's hard also.
Definitely. And as the person grieving, we always feel so misunderstood. We feel isolated. We feel alone. And a lot of the time it's because of the fear of judgment from other people. We don't know, how other people are going to react to us.
And we don't know how to react. The people on the other side,
exactly.
People, when I hear people say, oh yeah, well, he had a great life. Yeah, but he's not here anymore.
Exactly.
Don't tell me that.
Right. There are things things we shouldn't say, but a lot of times what happens is, and I had this personal experience myself. One of my closest friends who I worked with for a long time, I talked to this man every single day. We did the same job, just in a different area. We spent a lot of time together. And then all of a sudden, my son dies and crickets. And so a little bit of time went by, and I finally reached out to him and I said, I could tell his hesitancy when he answered the phone. And I said, hey, you know what? I don't have the plague. My son died, but I don't have the plague. Why, what's the avoidance for? He's like, I am so sorry. I don't know what to say. I said, well, and that's how most people feel. But because of that, we feel like everyone's abandoned us and that nobody cares. And sometimes that might be the case.
But most of the time,
it's not the case. So I really encourage people to let those around you know what you need and how they can best support you. Because and a lot of times I get a kickback and say, well,
did he come around?
He did, most definitely. And it was like I just had to break the ice.
But God, good for you.
Yeah, and I wish I hadn't waited so long to break the ice. But, it was a learning experience. So I've taken all of that stuff that I learned and all of the things from my personal experience and decided, you know what, I want to start empowering other people to rediscover hope in their life, to learn how to embrace life again, to find ways to honor their loss, to normalize conversations about grief. And that led me to earning my certification as a master grief coach. I've been doing that since the beginning of 2020. And it's something that's really fulfilling. I do private grief coaching sessions with clients. I host workshops all the time on different aspects of grief, different coping mechanisms, and just share information with people. I'm constantly
people don't want to talk about things that are sad.
Never, but they don't realize when you don't talk about it,
it makes it sadder.
It makes it sadder. And I think the real misconception is that if I don't talk about it, if I don't acknowledge it, it's going to go away. I'm just going to keep myself busy and I'm just going to I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to forget about it, but it doesn't work. It's unresolved grief.
I know. I used to be a runner.
Oh, that's a great way to, a great outlet for.
No, not physically. I used to run from grief.
From your grief. Okay.
I used to run from grief. I just keep moving, Linda. Keep going.
How did that work for you?
Terrible.
Yeah, and it normally does because we carry our grief with us always, and it's the scariest step. I tell people all the time. The scariest step is taking that first step and saying, "I need help.
I need help.
I need support." And I promise you, it's easy after that. It's nothing's going to be as hard as that. It's about just learning how to slowly start unpacking all of the things that are in your head. Because think about when you were running, think about all of the stuff in your head. It becomes overwhelming. It's too much to think about.
You get guilt in there and everything else.
Yeah. Anger, guilt.
And then people are like, what's her problem?
And it comes out and it affects our relationships with other people just like that because we become closed off or we're short with people. But you can imagine why. Your head is consumed with
it's the same thing
negative
in my
things.
caregiver support groups. When I saw somebody come into the support, I did a live one last week, and then came in, and after about 15 minutes, he went, like he could breathe again. Like there was something here. Like I'm not alone. Like I'm not the only one that feels that way. Because I can't tell you, not that time, but at other times, I would be doing a support group, and all of a sudden, like a person that had been with me for a while, blurt out, my sister and I were talking last night. We wish God would just let her die. And then they feel terrible that they said that. And then all of a sudden somebody else in the group was like, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Glad you said that. Yeah.
But you're not going to say that to your neighbor or whatever. So, if you can start out in a group, or if you can start out with a counselor or someone, then I think it's easier for you to talk to the other people about it too, don't you?
Sure. Oh, most definitely. You just have to start talking somewhere. And a lot of times it is easier to talk to someone who you don't have that personal relationship with, but still someone that resonates with you, someone you feel comfortable and safe with in a nurturing environment. But a lot of times we feel like we don't want to make the other people in our lives sad, or we don't want to bring them down by talking about it. So having that neutral third party that can, walk you through the process and help you start, I just say, like, unpack things, each emotion, one emotion at a time, and process it and deal with it and find creative outlets for it. Find ways that you can manage that, because let's face it, grief triggers are everywhere. Things are going to happen in our life every day. We're going to be somewhere. It's going to remind us of our loved one. We're going to hear a song. It's going to remind us of our loved one.
Yep.
And we just my hope is that others will be prepared to handle that when it does happen, because that's life. It's going to happen.
We're going to experience it.
So that's how I became a grief coach. It's just something I'm extremely passionate about. So I spent the last 5 years really building my business and reaching people organically through social media, like where we met. Facebook is my primary platform. Recently, I started on LinkedIn and started a LinkedIn newsletter that I've been really, really happy with the response on. I do a little with TikTok and Instagram, but my main
you can only be in so many places.
Facebook.
You got to answer to them all.
Exactly. Because that's important. I don't feel like,
why aren't you on TikTok, Lynn? I go,
I don't post anything that I don't respond to. So I'm pretty much, I'm responding a lot, and I have a lot of engagement because I'm talking about something that people are eager to talk about, because
they need an answer when they
talk about it. Yeah. So, and then recently I discovered, Terri, you're only one person and you can only make so much of an impact as yourself. You can only help and support so many people, because I do private coaching. So it's one-on-one and for an hour. So there's only so many hours in a day. And I put a lot of thought into it and decided that I wanted to help others do what I do, and becoming educated about grief, being able to support others through the grief process. And because I found when I was going through my own personal grief, I couldn't find the care that I was looking for. I couldn't find someone that really resonated with me, that understood my grief or made me feel understood. And so
you have to find the right person too. When my husband died, I went to a grief share. It's through a lot of the churches. Mm-hmm. It was a fabulous program, but the facilitator never looked me in the eyes once.
Oh, wow.
And after the second week, I'm like, I can't be here. I went to a different one, which was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
It was kind of scary to have to leave and then do, I'm like, is this worth my time, kind of thing.
Yeah, starting all over again. Yeah. So, but once you find someone that you can build that trust with, and for me, it's so important for me to keep my caseload down so that I can give the attention that I need to each one of my clients. And active listening is probably the most important thing that I can do, because when you're sharing something so intimate as grief with me, I want you to know that I hear you, that I am, because grief is unique to each person. Their experience is not going to be the same as my experience. Their needs are not going to be the same as my needs. So I really need
just to balance out for yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because what you do, like a lot of work I do, it's heavy duty work. Mm-hmm. And if you can't balance that out, then you can't be good for anybody.
Most definitely. Yeah, I think I talked about that yesterday on social media, compassion fatigue and taking care of ourselves and your network of caregivers. That's so important, because, you're taking on the emotions of other people and dealing with other people's traumas and experiences all day.
And caregivers are going through the physical part of it and everything else. Now I got to lift mom up. I got to help dad in the bed. It's
a lot.
We all need support.
It's a lot.
Because when you have a new baby, everybody helps you.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, well.
Isn't that the truth?
Help me now.
Yeah, exactly. Where are you when I need it most? My first husband was sick for about 5.5 years before he passed away. He went through 2 living donor transplants, a lot of other surgeries. And being a caregiver is a selfless, thankless. You do it
24/7
out of compassion. You do it because of the type of person that you are. You don't do it for the accolades, because there are none. You don't do it for anything other than, pure heart, because it is an exhausting, tireless job and people think about the person who's sick all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And they're feeling bad for the person who's sick, but what about the person who's taking care of them? What about the person who's
we're talking about
missing them?
This is what you need to do. You need to go to my website, lindaburhans.com, and you need to nominate a caregiver for the caregiver contest. So it takes you like 3 minutes to nominate somebody. Every single person that gets nominated receives a gift from me, whether it's a book or a journal or whatever. And then once every quarter, we have one person we just pick out of a hat, because they're all winners to me, and they get a gift basket with gift cards and a facial and respite care and
love
books
that.
and a whole bunch of stuff.
That's beautiful.
And the people that get it nominated, they're just so grateful that someone thought enough about them to take 3 minutes to go to my website and nominate them, because it's like you say, everybody asks how the other person's doing.
Right.
So with that, it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help, because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Sean W. Scott has been practicing elder law and qualifying clients for Medicaid for over 30 years. While his practice is in all areas of estate planning, such as durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogates, and wills, he also prides himself on having a 100% accuracy rate on getting clients approved for Medicaid. Why Medicaid, you may ask? Do you want to pay up to $16,000 a month for a nursing home should the time come? Obviously, no one wants to have to endure this cost. So even though you may have planned well for retirement, the reality is things happen. Planning ahead is never too soon. You need to make sure your income and assets are protected so that you can take care of you and your loved ones. Florida law is very specific on how and what is protected and how to protect it. Give Sean a call. He can help. 727-539-0181. That's 727-539-0181.
My mom was getting older, but she was able to live pretty independently until recently. When her case manager told me she would be discharged from rehab in just a few days, I didn't know what to do. But I knew for sure that she couldn't go back living alone at home. So that's when I contacted Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. My Senior Living Concierge, Lisa, was there for me through the whole process and was a free service for us to compare in-home care options and how that cost would compare to assisted living. With Lisa's help, we found a great new home for Mom, and she is thriving. Take it from me, don't go through this journey alone.
Hi, I'm Ellie Baldwin, co-founder and president of Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. We're a free placement and concierge service for families to help compare senior living communities and find the best place for you or a loved one. Call us today at 727-314-6451 or find us online at sunwayseniorliving.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back. So Terry, you know, I'm talking about support groups and stuff before. So in my support groups, some of my caregivers are in the group 4, 5, 6 years, it could be, or whatever. And their loved one passes away, and then they come back to the support group. But it's not a grief support group, it's a caregiver support group. But they want to help the other people too, because they've learned so much. So what I've done is I've started a mentoring program. So if a person in the support group, their loved one died of Parkinson's, and a new person comes in the group and their loved one has Parkinson's, they can talk during the week in between support groups, and then she's going to give her some tips that she would never get, because I'm not a specialist in Parkinson's or whatever. And it gives the person whose loved one has passed away a new sense of purpose.
Definitely.
So talking about that, I think that's really important. But I want to talk a little bit about anticipatory grief, because I see it in my support groups all the time, and I didn't even know there was a title for it until like 10 years ago or whatever. And someone will be in a support group, and I'll say to them, "Do you realize you're grieving?" And you're like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Think about it. Your husband can't drive anymore. This was not how your retirement was supposed to be." Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one of the misconceptions about grief. A lot of people think that grief is only something we feel when we suffer a physical loss. And it's so much more than that. And so a lot of times we don't give ourselves the space to grieve because we don't even recognize what we're feeling as being grief. And when it comes to having a spouse that's ill or having a spouse that's has dementia, or a loved one, not necessarily just a spouse, but a loved one with dementia, or a loved one that's going through a terminal illness, the things that the dread, the overwhelming sadness that we feel, the anger that we might feel at the hand that they've been dealt, at the hand that we've been dealt, that's all grief. That's all grief. And that's the anticipatory grief, is the part where it's anticipating what's to come. It's anticipating our loved one not remembering who we are anymore, or our loved one, passing away from this terminal illness that they have.
Not being able to walk anymore, not be able to feed themselves anymore, not be able to speak anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. And so for me, in working with people who have anticipatory grief, if it's from a loved one who is, has a terminal illness, and so they know that the end is coming, I definitely encourage them to use creative outlets like journaling, breath work, meditation, things like that will kind of recenter your focus and give you an outlet. For journaling is great for getting what's in your head out.
Yeah, I do a journaling workshop for caregivers once a month.
Oh, I think that's wonderful, because not only does it help you unpack what's in your head, but it's also a great tool for reflection, because I'll have people say to me sometimes, "Gosh, I feel like I'm not getting anywhere. I feel like I'm in the same place I was." And if they've been journaling, I'll say, "Let's go back to your journaling when you first started working together, and see, I want you to read that, read that first day to me, read what you wrote in there." And they're like, "Oh, wow, I really have made progress.
Yeah.
I really have come a long way."
You can see it.
Yeah.
I said to my caregivers, it was like the beginning of the year, and I wanted to talk about some goals, and they're like, "Oh, Linda, please stop." Goals? My goal is to get through the day. And I was like, "Okay, how about this? How about we take the next few minutes? I want you to write down 5 things that you accomplished last year." And then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, I guess I did pretty good," kind of thing. And then you can go on to the next thing. But I think journaling is so important. When I don't know if you know my story, but my book is Good Night and God Bless. So my mother moved down to Florida 6 years after I moved down to Florida. 4 months after she moved here, she moved into an independent living, beautiful place. She was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. Not the deal. And the doctor suggests we do some chemo. My sisters and I were against it, but my mother wanted to try it. It's her body. And we did 2 rounds, and my mom was out like a light. And we're like, "We're not doing this anymore." Well, my mom also had dementia, and I didn't know she had dementia. My mom was always a little goofy like me, and then she was on those chemo drugs, right?
Yeah.
The dementia served her very well, because when we stopped the chemo, she told everyone she was cured. Well, you know what you put in your head? We had 18 fabulous months. We traveled. She made up with people. I was with her every day except one day when I went to jury duty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I moved in. She became very ill then. I moved into Freedom Square with her, and I tucked her into bed one night, and she said to me, "Good night and God bless." And when I went in the living room, I thought that was going to be the last time I was going to hear it. I thought she was going to die that night. And I prayed, "Dear God, please give me a little longer." When she woke up in the morning, she looked good. So I started writing Good Night and God Bless. And I wrote through the last 3 weeks of her life and my grieving process. And then I reconstructed our adventure for my journals and my calendar.
Oh, I love that. What a beautiful way to use your journals.
Well, my mom died on December 14th, and I finished my book on Mother's Day.
Wow.
It was like a mission. I guess it was my healing mission, whatever. The last line of my book is, Happy Mother's Day, Mama. I hope I always make you proud of me. She's happy. I'm talking about her every day.
I love that.
But that saved my life at that time, because there was other things going on in my life. It was just a tough, and your mother.
Yeah.
So I strongly suggest that. And then I want you to think about when you're journaling too. When I look at some of those journals, there's some that are scribbled on and cried on and nasty and words spelled wrong. Who cares?
Yeah.
I remember looking at one, and it was the day I took my mother to the doctor, and the doctor said she had cancer. And you know what? I didn't hear a word, anything he said after that.
Yeah.
And I got home and it was just like, cancer,
Yeah.
But it served a purpose.
Yeah. Well, those are great things that we can do for ourselves when we're experiencing the anticipatory grief. And another thing I like to recommend is to, hopefully spend quality time with the person that you love. If it's someone who is suffering from dementia, and you know that there's going to come a day when they may not recognize you, they may not remember people and things. I love to encourage others to do some sort of legacy project with them before it gets to that point. Like, have conversations of shared memories and record them. There's so much you can do with a smartphone now. You don't even need anything.
It's so easy.
Yeah, you don't need any magical equipment.
Yeah.
Use your smartphone, record them, create a photo book, ask them their favorite things and, write them all down.
This is what I tell people
just to
too.
remember.
First of all, I had someone interview my mother the last 6 months of her life. And the day of my mother's memorial, she brought me 10 CDs of my mother. One's on her faith, one's with me, one's with my sister. It is fabulous.
Wow.
And when things are really tough, I put that CD in, my mother starts laughing. I'm like, get over it, Linda Sue.
Exactly.
But that was such a gift just to have that. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be 10 CDs. It can be one CD.
Yeah.
It can be whatever. We all have smartphones today. It's so easy to record something.
Mm.
I even have one now.
Yeah, you even have one. They used to call her at the other radio station Flip because she had a flip phone. That's one.
So funny.
Yeah.
My mother still has a flip phone if you're listening to this.
My second one broke and I relented, but now I do lots of stuff on it. I'm very proud of myself.
Good job.
Yeah. But really, try to share those memories with your loved ones. Spend some time with them. And this is something else I want to talk to you about. I've mentioned before. Many times you're going to go to visit Grandma. Grandma might not remember you. And you might not know what to say to Grandma. I don't know what to say to Grandma. She doesn't know who I am. I'm a kid. I don't know what. So I suggest that the caregiver make a memory box. So if Grandma was born in Brooklyn, print out some pictures from Brooklyn. And if Grandma was a Girl Scout leader, print out some pictures of Girl Scouts and write her troop number on there if you can. Mine's 1410 in case you need to know.
I'll be making you a box.
That's what best friends are for.
But this way, someone could come in and just pick up one piece of paper and, Grandma, I didn't know you were a Girl Scout leader.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I think we want people to have conversations with us and we want to have conversations with them, but we don't know how to start it.
Yeah.
And we don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, create a box of conversation starters.
Yeah,
a book of
like we do with
conversation
kids.
starters. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And just always go back to just if you can go back to what they used to do before. If they were a teacher or if they were whatever. That's another thing I talk to caregivers a lot about is finding a purpose for their loved one. So I had this one caregiver call me and she's like, my mother follows me around the house all day long. I can't stand it. She would just sit down for 2 hours. So I said, can I come meet your mother? She's like, sure. Well, her mother was a teacher. She was like 92 when I met her. So first we talked about all the rotten kids today, and then we talked about how the teachers don't get paid enough money. And every Monday morning now, we give Mom a big piece of poster board with some magazines, and we tell her the teachers are teaching the kids next week about flowers, so we need to cut all the flowers out of these magazines and glue it on the poster board, and there can't be any white spots. It takes her 2 hours a day, 5 days a week.
What a brilliant idea.
And then she started bringing it to it to the
yeah.
school, and the kids started writing thank you notes. And if it's somebody that has dementia, you can do flowers every week if you want. Or it could be food, or it could be, whatever it is.
That's a great idea.
But if you can find a purpose for your loved one and something that they used to do, it will create more conversation too. Because they'll be more in that zone. It's like there was another woman who was a seamstress. So we give her a big jar filled with buttons and little boxes to sort the buttons. Sometimes she does it by color. Sometimes she does it by size. But every now and then she picks up that one button and says to her daughter, just like on the communion dress I made for you.
Oh, wow.
And then they sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, that's special.
So I want you to think about that. Think about having those conversations, because you can't have it when it's gone. You can't have it when it's gone. So what suggestions do you give to somebody right now that's grieving for someone that has not passed yet?
Biggest suggestion is to take some time, allow yourself the space, because what you're feeling is grief. What you're feeling is normal. What you're feeling is okay. But you have to allow yourself the space and the time to really sit with that and allow yourself to feel and express the emotions and let them pass through you. Definitely don't try to hide it. Don't try to be anybody's hero. If you need to talk to a professional, reach out to a professional. If you have a friend or family member, loved one, someone else who's in the same situation, there's so much beauty in that connection between two people who get it, who understand, who've experienced the same thing or are going through the same experience. I definitely just say, attend to yourself, show yourself compassion, practice self-care.
And your loved one wants you to do that.
Oh, certainly.
Because I don't, I horror the thought of me being ill and my daughter has to watch me not be able to do something, So we need, as caregivers, to take care of ourselves.
Sure. Because we aren't any good. And like you said, we mentioned earlier, if you aren't filling your tank, it's really easy for you to get frustrated, to become overwhelmed, to be angry at times.
To overeat, to overdrink, to overspend.
Or to under.
Yeah, definitely. So like your exercise, getting a proper diet, drinking the right amount of water, taking care of your physical health as well as taking care of your emotional health is so important, because you're not going to be any good to your loved one.
And everyone's going to experience this sometimes. So
Yeah.
everyone has something that they can connect with it.
Definitely.
Something.
Yeah.
Something. So talk to me a little bit more about this new program you have.
It's so exciting. I am thrilled because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm only one person and I can only do so much. But I
don't want to be the only girl on the block.
I have a really big dream of impacting like millions of people. And I want to change the conceptions about grief and all the misconceptions. I want to do all this stuff, but I'm only me. So I created a program to certify others to become a master grief coach and do this important work. And about 6 months ago, when I completed everything, had all my coursework finished, I submitted it to an agency called the CTAA, the Complementary Therapist Accreditation Association, for approval. So they put my coursework through a rigorous process and came back, and I became an accredited course provider. So they accredited my program, which meant anyone who successfully completed it would then be a certified master grief coach from an accredited program. Recently, I wasn't all the way happy with the materials. Like I was feeling like something was missing. So I just went in and I took the course myself. I just went through the program and I added and enhanced and updated and resubmitted, and just got about 2 weeks ago, was awarded their highest level of accreditation, the Premier Quality Distance Learning Accreditation. Yeah, but the really cool thing is that along with certification now, anyone who successfully completes a program is not only certified, but it's an accredited certification. So now they also are an accredited practitioner with the Complementary Therapist Accredited Association just from completing the program. They'll be listed on their website. They actually didn't list grief coaching as a complementary therapy when I first started doing this 5 years ago. And I worked with them and showed them, what I do and got them to list that as one of the complementary therapies now. So the reason that it's important is the work itself is important. It's needed. We need more grief specific support. We need people who understand grief, who others can resonate with, so they feel comfortable and they feel heard and understood and seen. But it's hard to build a coaching business from the ground up. It is. I've been doing this for 5 years now. And the last 2 years, I really learned how to show up intentionally, how to do this and how to grow my business. And it's become very successful. But in doing so, now I get to pour all of that into the certification. And for those starting out, when I started out, I was certified, but there was no accreditation. But in today's world, people want to know that you know what you're talking about.
Definitely.
If they're going to invest their money in you to invest in themselves, they want to know that you know what you're talking about. And so having an accredited certification is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's something you can display on your website. You can put on your social media. You can yell at the tops of the mountains that,
How long does it take to do that?
The program is actually self-paced. I just had a couple local ladies that I met, I think in the same group that I was with you, who are enrolled and completed the first portion of it, the first module, within a week. And then we did an assessment and they're on to the second one. So I've had someone actually complete the entire thing, earn their certification within less than 2 months.
That's excellent.
Yeah. And now I'm I've had a request for additional support after that because the way I look at it is I've learned so much stuff. I invested in a business coach about almost 2 years ago. I've been working with a business coach, and she has really helped me to grow and scale my business. Yeah. And so now I have, after they're just continuing
education.
Yeah, continuing programs that I have where I share everything that I learned through working with my business coach.
Day.
Yeah, it's mentorship that is ongoing now that you can do in a group format. I do private mentorship to help you do the same things and implement the same things that I did. And it's so exciting for me because now I feel like there's just going to be so much more grief support out there and so many more people talking about it. Not even just the support, but I'm going to tell you, when I have a lady say to me, I haven't been sleeping since my husband died. I'm up all night. I can't sleep through the night. I have nightmares, and your TikTok videos have gotten me through so many nights. So thank you so much. It just feeds my soul and tells me, you know what, Terri, you're on the right path. You're where you're supposed to be. This is your destiny. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is what you were made for. And this is how I honor my son. And it's the most beautiful thing. So
well, I think it would be so great for someone to get that kind of certification because you could help your friends, you could help your family, you could help so many people because you would know more.
Yeah.
And because I think a lot of times people don't see the signs of grief in someone else.
Yeah.
They're not really sure. Are they just overtired? Are they just cranky?
Right.
They don't really realize it. So I think the more education we have it and the more we talk about it, makes it understandable for families. Because the other one that gets me is, aren't you over it yet?
Don't get me started.
Aren't you over it yet?
Yeah.
Nobody ever gets over it.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. We carry our grief with us always. And the hope is that we learn how to manage it. We learn how to allow joy to coexist alongside our grief, because that is possible. If you have an open mind and you have an open heart, it is possible to experience joy and to embrace life again while still honoring your loss. Because there are people too sometimes who feel like if I'm out living my life, I'm out enjoying life and I'm happy, that's like somehow doing a disservice to my loved one. Right. Then that's taking away from the love I felt for them. Like,
no,
like people are going to shame me. No, it's a beautiful thing. I tell people all the time, seeking support when you are grieving takes courage. So when you do that, I applaud you. She's a coward. You can do it. It takes courage, and it's a great act of self-love. There's nothing better that you can do to show yourself love than to get the help that you need if you need it.
And it's hard because I know over the years, anytime I've gone to counseling or anything, it's hard. It's hard making that first step. Some weeks it's just harder than others, but sometimes it's just hard.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not hard to hear from our wonderful partners, so don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
Edward.
Or maybe not. He was enamored by us.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week, so check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
We believe the power of the human body and mind can do amazing things, and that tapping into that power, not just tricking it with a temporary disguise, is possible. Superpatch technology uses a special pattern and vibrotactile technology to help you go from feeling blah to hurrah. Now, once the Superpatch is in contact with your skin, it triggers a neutral response in the brainstem that helps you tackle your daily problems head on. Whether you're struggling with pain, balance, stress, or focus, we have a solution that might be right for you. With Superpatch's 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hi, this is Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. I started using the Liberty Patch over 3 years ago. I used to be a tripper, but since wearing a Liberty Patch, I haven't tripped once. The Liberty Patch is proven to reduce the risk of falling by up to 8 times. And as we all know, if you prevent the fall, you prevent the call. Don't wait until it's too late. Preventative solutions are the answer.
Superpatch does not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure illness. Superpatch is FDA registered. To receive 25% off your first order, go to sticktoit.info. That's sticktoit.info and learn more.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back. I have some events I want to tell you about. Dr. Tam Cummings will be back in town on July 10th.
Yay.
Presentation from 10 to 12 at the Seminole City Park View Room. And then she'll be doing private consults from 1 to 4 free of charge. To get the opportunity to speak to her is amazing. So if you have questions about your loved one, or you're not sure about a diagnosis or where to get a diagnosis, please come. So you can RSVP to Arden Courts at 727-517-7800. All the information is on the calendar on my website. You can find it there. Also, I strongly advise anyone that's a new caregiver or a seasoned caregiver. The Area Agency on Aging has the Savvy Caregiver Program, which is a 6-week course for a couple of hours a day. Oh, here it is. It's a 6-week, 1 time a week for 2 hours from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Sunshine Center in St. Pete. And it's provided by the Area Agency on the Aging. And anybody that I know has taken that has learned so much and really, really liked it. Don't forget to tune in and see Sages on Kelly Clarkson at 10 o'clock on. So exciting. Just so exciting. So, Terri, where can our listeners find you?
I'm on Facebook, Terri Lynn Chaplin. My website is Living in Gratitude with TLC. That's the name of my business. And then I also have a community called Healing Hearts Community that's under the umbrella of Living in Gratitude. You can find that at My Healing Hearts Community. And that's where I house all of my programs, my private coaching. I have an online self-guided course for those who prefer doing something at their own pace and in their own time. It might just be a good
start.
Yeah, it's a great place to start for anyone who's nervous about.
It'll all be fabulous.
Yeah.
But think about that. Nobody should be suffering alone with no matter what it is. And I've seen the results between just caregiver support groups and grief support groups that I've been a part of in the journaling workshop. It's funny when I do the journaling workshop, some people go like, I don't want to be in no support group.
Yeah.
I go, why don't you come to the journaling workshop? And I'll throw out a prompt. Maybe the prompt is, I remember when. And after a while, somebody shares and says, I remember when I could still have a good conversation with my husband. And somebody else says, I remember that too. Yeah. And then they start talking like a support group. So it's just a different kind of support group, really.
Yeah.
Whatever's comfortable. And I'm also working on it. Probably won't happen until the fall. But I'm going to be starting a new support group just for men. I had done that years ago, and I'm going to do another one now because I think it's needed.
I'm going to join that one. I'm looking for a man.
There you go. Also, I'm having some conversations with some people about support group for younger people that are now caregivers with the way our whole world is going. It turns out that I'm on YouTube. I have a huge amount of subscribers recently that are men between the ages of 40 and 60.
Wow.
And I think the reason for that is men get all their information from the web. But as long as they're getting the information. So I'll keep you attuned about that. Thank you so much for being with me. As always, I so appreciate you. I know your time is precious. Tune in next week for another great show. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.